All right, here's a Predator 301cc powered Suzuki DR200. I've been sitting on this frame for probably 4 years. Didn't know much what to do with it and decided to do what I did with my little dirt bike frame and just put a bigger motor on it. A buddy of mine, probably can't see it back there in the shades, a golf cart frame. He got that in a brand new Predator engine and decided that he wasn't going to do anything with it. So he gave me the engine and I had it for about 2 months and decided to put it on here. I didn't really do any build videos on this. There are so many of them online. I figured I would just do an overview and then some riding video. It's pretty much just leftover parts, the majority of it. Leftover chain I had from other projects. I did have to order the clutch. There's an oil catch can that was left over. All the exhaust pieces were left over. Just basically painted it. It was mismatched. The tank's dented and it was a little rusty inside. Cleaned it up. The wiring harness was a nightmare because it was all chewed up and gone. I basically had to build my own wiring harness. This engine does not have a stator system, so it doesn't charge. So I ended up just using one of these little things I had left over, got it on Amazon. It's just for a DeWalt battery. You can use your own, whatever flavor you choose. But it snaps in there. It's super sturdy mount. I left it on in the shed for 4.5 hours and it still had light. So I figured that was more than enough. I will be building a rear rack for it and a front rack. I'm using these little lights separate. The bottom one's the high beam, top one's low beam. I did get a little $16 set of blinkers because the other ones just looked ridiculous and they were all messed up anyway. I wired in the little dash light, so I do have that. You know, being automatic now, it is, you know, there's no gears, so there's no need for a neutral light. I haven't even put oil in this engine yet. This is going to be an overview, start up and run. It is street legal. I'm not showing you my tag, but it is street legal. It'll kind of go with my other bike. Hopefully I'll be able to take them up to Cedar Key this year. As you can see, Predator 301. I do have to fix the kill switch because it is still down low. My oil catch can. I made my own intake. Leftover carburetor. Hopefully it goes good. I did put a little bigger jets in it. Yeah, I do have a scabbard on it. If it runs well, I'll use it for maybe squirrel hunting this year. That's pretty much it. Just going to use some Fram small engine 30 weight oil to start with. This is 2 days after Hurricane Ian down here in Florida too, Central Florida. Just an FYI. To get this 30 series clutch to fit, I had to cut off the oil fill on the back side and then use the plug, cut the top off and the stick and just use part of it to fill part of the hole, and then filled that with JB Weld on the outside and cleaned it all up. It's the only way I can make that thing work. 30 series really weren't designed for this application. do have the governor removed on this engine. I did pull it apart and do it the right way, except for not putting in a billet rod. I will be doing that later. Just going to see how it does for right now. I've ran them before that way and not worried about them slinging. We'll see what she does. This is 90 octane on ethanol with a little bit of stabilizer in it. Can't remember the name of the stuff. It's like a blue Star Bright or Star something. Pretty good stuff. Well, that's probably gonna peel the paint. Got oil in it, topped off, turn the fuel to on. Hey, there she goes. Fill in the carburetor. It's not overflowing. Switch on, fuel on. Don't know where the idle is set. I did do two turns, two or 2 1/4 out on the air fuel mix. I mean, all we can do is try. It says first start. Throttle forward, front brake. I have had these things take off. Quite a bit more compression than a little 212. Get my little screwdriver. I do have a little Cosby in a can here, trying not to use it. Woo. Yeah. Maybe a little. Would help if I turned it on, turned it off. first pull, maybe. I pulled it with it off a whole bunch. Had to prime it. Let's hit the bed. Let's turn the idle up a little bit. Well, crap. I want to say by the black soot on the chain guard and the way it's acting, I think it's running rich. It might be that exhaust is a little too restrictive. Not 100% sure what's going on. Definitely running like crap. All right. So I figured it out. First carburetor was junk. It was an old one I had on a little 200cc dirt bike. It was a PZ22. I've got a 27 millimeter carb on here. It was actually, oh, that's loose. It was actually new. But I had to rob some parts off of it, so I never did use it. The old carb actually had a little bit bent needle. I want to say this one's leaking fuel too. I think that's why I didn't use it last time. I'm gonna order a new one, but for right now, this will work. Everything seems okay. Want to check the engine mount bolts because they are not nylocked yet. I have to order some 7/16 20, and I'm gonna take it on the road, see what she does. Alright, well, not perfect, but also not the worst for a shakedown run. I was able to hit 70, which honestly I didn't think it was going to do that. I want to say about 2200 RPM, feels like, just off idle. It cruises at like 45, 47 miles an hour. I was kind of amazed by that. Get 50, no problem. Like 55 to 58, 60-ish. It's starting to want to slip a little bit because you're having to put a lot of strain on it. It hit right at 70 and I backed off. You could tell the RPMs were up and the belt was spinning. Got back to the yard and it started squealing. Not sure if the clutch is getting ready to let loose already or what. I'm gonna pull the cover and check it out. Back brakes I have a new set of pads and a new tire. I need to pull that and put those in. They're not real great. The front brakes seem to have completely went out. Not 100% sure what's going on with that. I don't see fluid everywhere. There is some on the plunger. It could have just took a crap. It was old. I mean, things sat outside forever and a day. I mean, I got back, I went to hit the front brake and there was nothing. Got a little fuel leak from the bowl. Need the right screwdriver. Don't know what I did with that. I mean, the new carburetor did run good though. Hopefully I can get it all figured out sometime by, well, I don't know. There's not a ton of fluid. Now that screw did back off, or I need to check that. For the plunger depth, it is definitely leaking around it. I may just order a new one. I mean, this one, God only knows. It's probably the original from 1996. Probably what I'll do. Gotta have brakes and all that. Blah, blah, blah. That screw's all the way out. It had something to do with it. It's pretty sketchy when you don't have any brakes at all for the most part. And this thing's catching, trying to lay you down. I will say it makes me leery trying to go down the highway on something with a belt, because I did the Gambler 500 Mini Mayhem. Ooh, that bad boy is hot. I'll be venting this for sure. If I can find a Juggernaut clutch with a 1-inch bore, I'll be running that. So I'll be online tonight. I really just wanted to make sure that it was going to run, period. Before I really sunk any money or anything like that into it. Yeah, this cover is very hot. I'm sure it's a lot of strain. So I'm not going to be dogging it, trying to spin the tire or anything. More like a trail bike, woods bike. It is very hot though. I can definitely feel the heat coming off of it. It could just be it was sticky too. Yeah, there's a lot of rubber in there. Oh, wow. Yeah, what is that? That's oil and grit from the chain. It's part of it. It took me 4 or 5 belts to get my mini bike dialed in years ago. Awful tight, like really tight. Like it shouldn't be that tight. That's very warm. Like I almost wonder if something's... That should be slipping more. Well, it's slipping pretty good. I mean, it could be one of those things you just kind of got to run without it. I mean, I've been there. That's definitely a little loose. That shouldn't be loose at all. I will be running Loctite on that. Let's fire her up, see how she slips. Always turn my fuel off anymore. Turn it on. That's all in getting it dialed in. Exhaust looks like it's sealed up good. I used the flange off the old muffler, cut it, so it gave me like a 1/2 inch thick flange, so when I welded it, it really didn't warp at all. My other one, I used like a 3/16 piece of steel, soft. It just did not work real well at all. So basically I need to look into a juggernaut clutch. I'm gonna run this carb. That's really warm. Order some belts. This one looking all right. I've got a spare. I always keep a spare. It just makes me a little leery because I threw one time and I had the cover on and it got sucked into the main drive and it locked the back tire up, and I was doing like 50 on my mini bike racing. It was not a good scene. Probably gonna put it up for right now and get some lunch. And might make a video of it this evening. Just show you the lights at nighttime.